Welcome to the Street Talk section, everybody. We have got 5 lovely storylines for you today. And like I said earlier on the podcast, I thought it was a pretty good week. And it had Gemma as a headliner, didn't it?
Yeah.
Gemma, I thought that Gemma Dolly did a fantastic job this week. I really, really sympathised with her. She had a great script. The performance that she gave when she was kind of bemoaning the desperate situation that her family's in. The shoe shop scene, the bit with Joel, what's his name, Kit. Yeah, I thought she was jolly good. So anyway, I'm calling this storyline Gemma Carries Out Some Shoes. Not the best, but what's she doing? She's carrying shoes out of shop and it sounds like Carys. The brief engagement story is next. We had a brief engagement party this week, didn't we, in fact? Old MacDonald, Steve is turning 50, and I'm pretty sure we used this exact same storyline title 10 years ago when he was having his 40th birthday, but you can't recycle them every 10 years. I don't know when you can. There was more to the ill will storyline with the Shuttleworths, and we will end on the hellbent on Steph and Brent's storyline with Kevin and Abby. So Gemma's storyline starting off first. If you don't mind, I will take this one because I particularly enjoyed it. So they're starting off in the Winter Brown household, and Carys has got she's got her shoes don't fit, do they, or something? They're too tight for her. Big old wide-footed Carys, as she will forever be known now. And Gemma's like, look, we'll get you some new ones. It's fine. Just put your old ones on, squeeze them on, and they'll be okay. What tragic family circumstances they have, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Why are you looking at me? I didn't do it.
I don't. You didn't do what? Widen Carys's feet.
Yeah.
Did you go sneak up to their room in the night and pound them with a lump hammer just to flatten them like a tenderised steak?
Yeah.
I think you did, actually. I think you absolutely did. So Bernie comes to visit Gemma later, and she sees that Gemma has just received a letter for a £70 parking fine, I think it was.
Who knew she had a car?
Well, apparently so. You're not going to get to the shoe shop without one, are you?
Can I ask a question? Why on earth do they need a car when they walk the kids to school, they live on the same street that both of them work?
Yeah.
It feels like an unnecessary expense.
Well, going to Freshco, mate.
Yeah, but you get it delivered, don't you? I know that that used to be one of the main reasons why you'd need a car, is that you'd need to take your shopping home, because it's really hard to do that if you don't have a car. But these days, you can get it delivered.
You got to pay extra though, Gemma. And I
don't
don't know whether
really.
you know this, but
No, you don't.
they're poor.
You don't really.
Oh, okay.
And also, just to point out, you don't pay as much extra as you do to pay for a car.
Do they have a giant car? I don't remember. There's probably, we're probably being dumb here, because when they went on that little family trip, Gemma, Bernie and Paul earlier this year, they had a camper van, didn't they? Yeah. So I don't know, but Gemma's parked somewhere she shouldn't have done.
I think it would be useful to have a car, a massive car, but I don't know anyone on Coronation Street has one, because you never see them in them.
Well, this is the problem. You got to have a massive car for this family. You can probably squeeze a couple of quads into one seat at the moment, but it's not going to be long until they'll be bursting out the sides. So there's only so much clown carring they can do here. Although we did watch a really old episode, one of the 60s episodes recently, didn't we, where they had it was the Easter Monday episode from 1962, and they had 7 characters all squeezed into one car, no seatbelts or anything.
Was
Those
sitting
were the
on
days.
Someone's lap.
Oh, I know. Well, this is what the Browns have had to deal with, I suppose. But anyway, she's got a car parking fine, and she's like, "Oh, I've only got £20 to last me to end at week. I work so hard, it's never enough." As I say, Dolly acted this much better than I am, and I really, really was feeling for her. This is. I don't know, it's a really fine line between a character coming across as whiny and over needy, but I thought that it was fantastic. I thought she was brilliant, and I always want to like Gemma, you know. This is
Yeah, you definitely.
Hang on a minute, the pigeons are back. The pigeons are back out on the roof outside. It's like they know when we're recording
Bill
the
and Coo
podcast,
again.
and they're literally having a bit of a snog on the roof next door. Sorry, it's fascinating to us. You just have to imagine this, listeners. These amorous pigeons.
It's like the pigeons on
the
the ident of the between the
yeah,
adverts.
Exactly. Anyway, so she was fab. She was excellent. And Bernie's like, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to find a way. You're a great mum. Kids are lucky to have you. Anyway, I'm off to work. Get yourself, you lazy ass, probably." Gemma gets a phone call, and it's the school. No, nursery. She'd said school, wasn't she? And I think everyone's kind of forgotten, I certainly have, just how old the quads are. We did that Ian McLeod retrospective last week, and weren't they born in his first year? So, yeah, they're coming up on 5 this year, so are they going to be in... To me, they're still like 2, 3. I can't
I know.
believe they've been around for this long. I know we didn't do the Ian McLeod retrospective this week, did we? I'm thinking about doing it. No. Yes, we did. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Confusing me.
I'm confusing myself. Yeah. Yeah. There'll be teenagers before we know it.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically, to cut a long story short, to cut a wide foot narrow.
What are we doing?
Carrie's has got sore feet, so Gemma is called to the school or nursery or wherever it is they've gone on their school trip to come and pick her up.
Well, she tried to risk sending her in
Yes.
with the shoes, even though she knew they were tight.
Yes, exactly. Oh, just like Gemma. Things
tight.
are a bit tight at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a storyline title for you.
Damn it.
So, we get a lovely location shoot. It's a shoe shop. New location for Coronation Street. And I must admit I'm quite pleased with my detective work because I have located this shoe shop. It was in Altrincham, which is like southwest of central Manchester. And there's a little shoe shop there on a street called St George's Street. And it was quite fun because the various scenes, there were like 3-4 scenes in this shoe shop on Monday's episode. And when Gemma was outside, you could see some of the surrounding shops. There's like a shop down the road and there's like a River Island there. And there was a Holland and Barrett, I think. So I was going around Google Maps trying to find it. And then I found it. So we've added it to our Coronation Street locations map. So if you would also like to go and reenact it and steal a few shoes of your own, then head on over to St George Street in Altrincham. And you can thank me later.
Don't steal shoes.
Don't steal shoes.
From real shops.
I saw somebody online calling it a 5-toed discount. So anyway, in this scene, they're sitting down, they're getting their foot measured. This took us back because we had Rachel around watching this, didn't we?
I'm sorry, that technique was terrible. Why you have to stand in the shoe measurer? You can't do it with your foot in the air.
I mean, we haven't had the experience of having feet measured since we were probably the same age as Karis. Everyone else
so excited.
has children of their own if they want to
That's
relive the heady days of measuring how big your feet are.
I remember the special machine that would come and it would go, wouldn't it? And it would like pat your feet and then say how big your feet were.
It's funny because it's like a memory that unlocked, and I had not given measuring feet any consideration for the last 35 years. It's like, oh yes,
that's it. They stay the same.
Yeah, I mean they didn't look particularly wide, but apparently
she's a mutant.
Yeah.
She's like special order from a clown shop.
She's like Herman Munster, she is, old Karis.
Not really.
Bit on the wide side.
That's a joke.
No, it's not.
It is a joke.
She's hideous. Okay, so you don't need
it's
to
not
point
a real,
out.
It's not a real child. I know, but people get so weird about it. Look, if you're weird about it, don't listen.
There's nothing wrong with having wide feet.
It's a fictional child's foot. I'm allowed to make...
Did I have wide feet as a little...
I've got wide feet.
So you have... Oh my gosh, I never even noticed that before. Divorce.
Do you know what? I can only go in through doorways 1 foot at a time. You've never seen me go through 2 feet at a time, have you?
Anyway,
it's my widest part of my body, my foot.
The thing is, there's a sale going on at this shop, which is why Gemma went there. But it's only on the normal size shoes for normal sized feet people.
It's discrimination, really.
It really, really is. So she's like, "Sorry, we got to pay." I don't remember what she said.
Sorry, we don't sell disgusting shoes for horrible children. You have to order them specially.
Yeah. But although
she's like, I found it in the monster section.
When it's comes to Christmas time in Germany, when you put your shoes out for Father Christmas, yeah.
What does he do with them?
I don't know. Stick a walnut in it. I was going to say a walrus. Maybe it is a walrus if you got wide feet.
Oh, Callis, you get to have the walrus present. It's very rare for Father Christmas who brings them. You're so lucky. Oh, in Germany, it is good luck for your child to have very wide feet.
And they get it on the 6th of December over there as well. So it's like win-win. Anyway, long story short, Gemma says...
I'm sorry if we're discriminating.
Gemma says, right, let's go. When the woman's not looking, grabs Karis and they skadoodle out of the shop onto George Street, Altrincham. Although I think it's supposed to be Weatherfield. So she's
just around the corner from the precinct.
Apparently so. And how much more realistic than the precinct this street looked? Like, you know, I see people complaining online about, oh, it looks like a set, it looks real, but I don't really notice.
It looks like a set, it looks real.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't look real. I don't really notice when they have the precinct scenes. My my thing that goes in the back of my head is, I know that doesn't connect onto anything. I've been there. I know it's just round the corner from the police station. But I think that the set designers have done a really, really good job at making the precinct look real-ish. But then they go and film in an actual street in town. It's like,
yeah, it's a bit different,
doesn't it? Yeah. And even in the scenes inside the shoe shop, like you pointed out, it was a bit echoey. That you said,
the sound wasn't very good
today. But it's like, that's... Yeah, but more of that, please. Absolutely loved it. So they hurry off home, and Bernie comes up to Gemma and says, "Hey, look, Gemma, I got you some money for the parking fine." And then she notices Karis's new shoes and says, "How'd you pay for them if you're skint?" We don't see the confession scene, but the following scene is Bernie laying into Gemma saying, "You bloody idiot, you could go to jail for this. Isn't your first offence, you know." And Gemma's like, "Well, what else could I do? When did shoes become a luxury?" And then there's a knock at the door. There's lots of, well, at least two in this episode, knocks at the door, isn't there? Like, what could possibly go wrong now? Knock, knock, knock.
Yeah.
Hello, it's me, Mr. Misfortune.
It's a new problem. How are you doing?
But obviously this time it wasn't. It was Joseph and his posh mates from Oak Hill who've come round for their kebab tea.
No, they've come round for Chesburgers.
Oh yeah, they came round for Chesburgers, but they just ended up with kebab. Although they were just happy to get anything in a polystyrene box, weren't they? They didn't even open it to see what it was when Chesney brought it back later. So anyway, they all go upstairs, and Gemma returns to the shoe shop to return the shoes because she gets guilt tripped basically by her mum, and they recognise her there, so she drops them and legs it, hides down the street. What did you think about Gemma stealing the shoes there? In character, out of character, desperate times call for desperate measures? Because sometimes you get characters that do things that serve a plot, and it's like, I don't think that character would do it. And Gemma has been on the change. She's been, getting
on
more...
the change,
going through the change and into redeemable character, and someone we're supposed to be rooting for. But I think it felt in character.
It's difficult, yeah, because I think unless you've been in that situation, you don't really get that there is no money. Like, genuinely, I think lots of people can't really imagine that being that dire. But
I think Gemma has tried to keep things on the straight and narrow for so long, but I definitely believed that somebody in her situation with her history would resort to those desperate measures. That there wasn't, if another character had done it, I'd be like, oh, come on, that wouldn't happen. Oh, look, now they're going to get arrested. Oh, what a surprise. But everything here, apart from maybe on today's episode when Kit magically has some dirt on Mr. Shoe Shop Man to help neaten away the situation, everything else felt proper natural to me, and I was sympathising for Gemma rather than saying, well, you shouldn't have stolen from the shop then, should you?
It's really hard. Like, the thing is, it's like almost every problem in Corrie, where I'm sure if they just said to Dev, like, can you lend her 45 quid? It always feels like a solvable problem because of the community and the family and support system they have, but she just...
But I think Gemma is...
She's quite impulsive.
But she's also a proud person, and when Paul was offering to bankroll her last year, she didn't want to take handouts then as well. She doesn't... She hates that she constantly still lives in this relentless pit of moneylessness.
Yeah. Poverty, they call it.
That's the word, yes.
Now, we had an interesting thread, didn't we, on Reddit that we were following.
Oh, yeah. God, somebody put a lot of thought into this.
So this is Sharonimo.
Sharonimo on Twitter.
And she's gone through... I did a little bit of this rudimentary kind of level, but I didn't get as detailed into this as she has done. And really, I think I know Gemma's proud and she doesn't want handouts, but genuinely, I think if she went down the benefits office or spoke to somebody from Citizens Advice, she'd be fine, because she actually would get a lot more money than she seems to be getting for her children.
I mean, as somebody who doesn't know anything about benefits, then...
She should be getting...
And generally just has a really terrible general knowledge, and if it's not on Coronation Street or in a Nintendo game, I possibly don't know about it. So I could happily watch that and go, yeah, gosh, she really is poor, isn't she? But you're right, this
The thing
particular
is,
thread on Reddit was like,
I don't know what it's like now for families in general, but from my past, I've family have really had struggles and not had any money, and electricity goes out because the bill wasn't paid. You literally only have enough money for petrol to go to the shop and back, and that's it, because there's no more money, that kind of stuff. So I know that, but currently we don't have that issue because we're not on benefits or anything, but so we don't know how this works. So it's good that Sharon Nemo did this. She has put together how much money they would get working like part time, because they've got to look after the kids. That's the other thing. Childcare is a massive expense.
The quads go to nursery, but then that's going to be... Is nursery... You pay for nursery, don't you? Just not even how I work in school.
But listen,
yes, I think you do pay for nursery.
Universal credit and child benefits together for them would be nearly $3,000. Because they get money because it's a multiple birth. That's the thing. A lot of people don't realise this. I only realised it when I looked into it myself, because I knew that the government had put a cap. You can only have benefits for 2 children. But they've got 5. But because they had... I've gone through this before in a podcast, because I can hear myself saying it previously, how confusing this is. Or maybe I'm just making it really confusing. Because Joseph was their first child to get... their first child, then they had another 4. They get benefits for all of them.
Yeah, the 4 count as one, don't they?
Yeah, so if Joseph...
I remember this now.
If they had 2 kids already and then they'd had a multiple birth, they'd be absolutely stuffed, because you wouldn't get it. But because of the multiple... Well, would you? I don't know. Multiple births, you get all the money.
Plus, what about the Freshco deal? We've got to mention every time, if they'd only stayed with the Freshco deal.
It really makes me mad. But anyway, they would... I'm not saying they'd have a brilliant, luxurious life, and there would still be stuff that they could talk about, but...
So I don't know whether they're going to start... I don't know whether the kids are going to start school in September. Are they that age? And if that's the case, then the nursery fees go, and maybe Gemma will be able to get a bit more work done. So
I don't know.
Hopefully the end is in sight here, but possibly it could just end up with them saying, go to the benefits office, and Gemma's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I know, this is silly. It's one of those things where Corrie wants to do a story, but they don't base it on the reality of the situation that they've constructed. Like with Sean and his homelessness, and I bring it up every time, and I know it's really annoying to bring it up every time, but it was such a stupid example of magic wand syndrome, where he just had to tell somebody and all his problems disappeared. With Gemma and Chesney, they just need to go and get their benefits that they're owed, and like I said, they'd be a lot better off than some families that have multiple children, because the government saying you can only have benefits for two children, say what you want about whether that's fair or not, but the fact they brought it in for children that were already born, I thought was terrible, because what can you do? You can't put them back. What are you supposed to do? Suddenly you're not being given money. Oh, come on, I can't believe it. We need people to have kids. That's what I think we're all stuck in, like, overpopulation, but we need to have a new generation of children.
Yeah, we're not doing too much to help.
We're not helping, so someone else needs to
do it for us. Come and pick up the slack for us, please.
Well, this is what you do, you see. That's why we pay taxes, because we nominate somebody else to have children for us. And then maybe we should be buying the shoes, Michael. Anyway.
So Gemma's legged it. She manages to escape the wrath of the shoe shop man.
I hate talking about it because I feel really out of touch, and I struggle because I can't afford to buy, Pims. I have to buy the off-brand Pims. I've got to buy Summer Punch from Aldi. I feel like so poor. Not really, but you know what I mean.
And an espresso machine's broken.
I can't afford to replace an espresso machine. Ooh, so sad. So I feel really... But I do also know people who genuinely don't get it and don't believe it. Don't believe that people struggle. So I think this is an important story to tell. I wish they'd talk about things like, for example, Gemma and her sanitary towels and products. She must have to buy those. They can be expensive. Why do you have to pay VAT? Do you have to pay VAT in them, or did they cancel that? Can't remember. But that kind of thing can actually be really expensive. And I was trying to explain to I have a group of people that I talk to, some of them are my friends, some not. And one of them would not believe me that £5 in a month could make a difference. But it can. That's like a meal. That's like 2 meals.
Yeah.
People don't get it. I get it. Because I get my espresso machine's broken.
But as I said, you've been there.
Do you know what I might do, Michael? What? I might have to get a screwdriver in to see if I can open it up.
You want to try and fix
I know
the broken espresso machine?
It's come to that.
Well, as long as you're not asking your husband to do it.
I wouldn't dare.
Perish the thought. Anyway, Gemma gets home. This is when the boys get their kebab tea.
Just thoroughly embarrassed ourselves there, haven't we?
Gemma's, as earlier on, Bernie solved Gemma's monetary woes by saying, here, have some money for the parking fine. Chesney has said, you know what? Karis isn't the only flat-footed monster around here. Turns out that Asher's got feet that are like a mile wide at least. Not Cassie. Maybe Cassie as well. Karis can have some of her hand-me-downs.
No. Chesney comes in and goes, I found out Asher, she had a secret. She was a circus performer in her youth because her feet were so wide. I've solved all of our problems. I don't care if we get evicted. We can live in her shoes. I've heard
so many children, they didn't know what to do.
I heard a nursery rhyme and it gave me the idea.
Anyway, yeah, who knew? That's like Asher's been outed there, hasn't
I know. She was embarrassed. I tell you what, now I know why Dev's paying $5,000 a year for that reputation management.
Yeah, you can see her feet on the video. This is terrible.
I have wide feet. I'm starting to feel put upon here.
It was only a throwaway line on the show as well. We are milking
it's
this.
like they had to explain why these shoes would be extra expensive, and they've just doomed Karis to a lifetime of being teased about how wide her feet are. Yeah. We're not going to forget this. This is going to be a fact that I remember. Like, I remember about Amy being lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
One fact per character.
That's all you need.
Like Tony.
One
Tony
day we'll
Stewart
do the Karis character profile.
Tea bags like a pyramid.
Profile. Right. Anyway, Gemma says, "Have a hug, Chesney. You're great." So a little misunderstanding between Chesney and Bernie later leads to her accidentally revealing the shoe theft. I can't remember how it happens. I think he's like, Gemma's
told me everything.
But that's usually how it goes, hasn't it? Oh, I know everything.
Don't
says, worry about it.
Don't worry.
What you
Some
know
kids
about
just
Gemma
have
stole?
wide feet.
Gemma stole the shoe.
It's not a genetic defect. She might grow out of it.
Anyway, Chesney knows about the thievery. Gemma walks in, and Bernie's like, I think I better make myself scarce here. So Gemma's left with Ches apologising. No, it's funny. So apart from to our wide-winded listeners, but anyway, Chesney says that I'm really sorry. I put you in that situation. I'm a bad provider. What kind of dad would do that? Oh, make it all about yourself again, Chesney. Pity party for Chesney here. And Gemma says, look, don't worry. Our look's changing. We're just got to keep on swimming, don't we? Yeah. So Gemma and Chesney are having a bit of a snuggle on the sofa later. Boys come downstairs. All the posh boys. Yeah, that's sweet. It's a sweet story.
Like they managed to overcome through the power of...
Yeah,
theft.
Everything's going to be okay, says Chesney. Definitely, you've got away with it and nothing could go wrong.
Who's that?
It's the Popo. No, it's not. It's the shoe man. He just so happens... What are the chances of this? He just so happens to be the father of one of Joseph's posho mates.
I didn't know there was that much money in shoes.
I know, that's what I thought as well.
I want you to be a shoe salesman.
What's the posh word for shoe? The shoe bit? Like haberdashery is hats, isn't it? What's the feet word?
Footerdashery.
You should know. You love a bit of shoe. There is a...
I don't know.
Millinery is hats. What's the shoes? Anyway, it's the shoe man, and he's like, "Oh, I recognise you. You're the chav, Povo chav that stole from my shop earlier. I'm going to report you to the police, actually." So he huffs off, and that's the end of that. It's probably like really
haberdashery.
No, it's not. That's not shoes. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe there isn't one. So Friday comes. Gemma's in Joseph's bad books because she embarrassed him in front of his cool new rich mates on Monday. And they're even ghosting him in the group chat. It's terrible. So he storms off to school and Gemma's like, oh no, everything's going wrong and he's sent to jail. And Ches is like, no, you won't. No, you know what? He's not going to report you, is he? You don't want to ruin things between him and his son. It was just something and nothing. You gave the shoes back. Everything is going to be okay.
Who's that?
This is the Popo. The police turn up. It's a new one. No, you said we'd seen him before, hadn't you?
I think we had.
Somebody come to put Gemma in the clink. So Gemma is there. She's been brought into the cells. She's been dragged into custody.
Yeah.
Custody sergeant's there who's waiting in the cells. But Brother Kit, secret Brother Kit, he's like going, oh, I know this person. What's going on here? Meanwhile, Chesney's rushed off to the cafe to tell Bernie about the latest obstacle in their path. And Bernie's like, I don't know what I can do. I can't do anything. Roy won't come out of his flat. Is Roy... I've forgotten what's going on there.
So become a recluse.
Has he probably become a recluse? How long's his beard going to be the next time we see him? That's what I want to know. This story really has been put on ice, hasn't it? You mentioned earlier as we were watching today that nobody seems to be bothered about Lauren anymore.
No, I said that, yeah. Suddenly, once we found out what had happened to her in show, nobody's cared, nobody's mentioned. The posters are still up, but nobody's looking for her anymore.
Well, I suppose it's just because they think that Nathan's killed her. So what more is there to do? Yeah,
but nobody's like, oh, what has that monster done? I'm going to try and find her body. Where do you think he put her body?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that really upset you
to
know your
friend was salon.
Dead and she'd been buried? That would make me feel sick, wondering where she was.
I don't particularly mind. I've not minded too much having a break from this story. I mean, clearly it's going to come back again, but I was hoping that we'd see a little bit more between Kit and Nathan. But he already dropped him as a brief, didn't he? They could have... I know I'm not always one for advocating prolonging storylines unnecessarily, but I think that could have had a little bit more than just a couple of episodes that it got. But anyway, they've still put the posters up, haven't they? The missing Lauren posters are still there, so they're probably still thinking about it. And if we do call that story back, it means we're also summoning Bobby back onto our screens. So maybe best
no
we
need to
don't
think about
mention
Bobby
it
anymore.
Anyway.
He went to go and live with his nan.
No, he's not. He's staying with Carla,
I was being sarcastic.
Although he could have done, for as far as we know.
Might as well have done.
So Kit comes into Gemma's cell and visits her, and they're still waiting for a solicitor, and Gemma's like, please, you got to let me off. It was just a pair of shoes. My daughter's feet were in pain. I was taking them back. And Kit clearly looks like he's in over his head here. He wants to help her. There's a couple of times in the episode where he clearly wants to say, I'm your brother, but he stops himself. I thought that today's episode was really good for Kit, but they keep going back and forth about whether we're supposed to like him. I'm always on my toes, my very narrow toes, about about whether I should enjoy Kit as a character or not. And today I had an awful lot of sympathy for him. Did you?
No, I don't know.
The ice is thawing.
I still find my reaction to him a bit mixed. And I do like him because he's obviously still a slightly dodgy copper, isn't he? I just kind of like that about him. Yeah,
he's got enough depth so far for a character that's only been in it a couple of months. I am satisfied that they're giving him a good few layers here.
He's not like a goody two shoes like Swain. No, he's not incompetent like Craig.
No, not at all.
But he doesn't. He's like one of the, like, you know, when you used to watch The Bill, there'd always be like a few coppers that were like a bit, you know, they rough up the suspects and.
Oh yeah, Burnside.
Yeah, he's kind of like.
He's not hard though, is he? He's not like
really.
the right now sunshine.
He's too lanky to be hard.
Yeah, but I'm still really intrigued about why. There's got to be a reason about why he planted that hair in the back of Nathan's van. It was him that did that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So like, it's still okay. No, so is he working with Joel?
No, because he's obviously watched the O.J. Simpson trial and realised that you can.
The hair's in the van. Nathan's your man.
Yeah, you can stitch up somebody who was guilty to start with.
Well, anyway, so I don't know. I think that there's even more to him, and I'm really enjoying seeing everything being peeled back for Kit. Anyway, so he disappears off, heads to the cafe and sees Bernie, and she's like. Because Bernie was texting him, wasn't she, during this? Because she wants him to try and get the charges dropped. And he's like, well, she's not my sister. And but she kind of turns on the waterworks a little bit. And he says, right, okay, fine, I'll go and have a look and see what I can do. So he heads over to the shoe shop and asks the manager about what happened yesterday. And then, somewhat pointlessly, although maybe there's going to be more to this later, we have that thing about Craig coming in.
Craig comes in to take the statement.
Is Craig going to be the one that outs Kit as a bent copper?
And then Kit sends him off.
Don't need that.
says, "Oh, go and investigate the clothes shop and see if they."
Go and have a look at the
anything."
women's clothes shops, and Craig
Yeah.
doesn't need telling twice. So there was the scene back in the station later as well, wasn't there? I don't really remember what happened with that one, but yeah, there's got to be a reason that Craig is still loitering around this story, and not just because there's only. Actually, I'm going to say there's more. There's quite a few policemen that are regulars in this story now, aren't there? Because we've got him, we got Swain, we got Kit.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's quite a few fairly regular backgrounders as well. So I've got nothing more to add about that. Just pointing it out.
They're trying to soft launch a spin-off, a new one. It's about time we had a new Corrie spin-off.
Well, we said just bring back McKinnon and Abney, and I'm there.
What do you think it's going to be called?
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
The Weatherfield Force. Weatherfield Precinct. Weatherfield Cops.
I can't.
Weathy Cops.
Corrie Cops. No. No, I'm not going to do it. I can't pun off the cuff. So anyway.
It does take you a long time normally.
It sometimes does. Anyway, turns out that the very easy solution to this problem is that this shoe shop man seems to have got some kind of racketeering going. He's got some kind of skeletons in his closet. Or,
I thought this was so...
It was just very vague. Oh, you've been up to no good, haven't you? And the shoe man's gone, you caught me red-handed.
This seems to happen quite often on this show, that there will be someone who's got to keep quiet, and somehow, magically, whoever it is that's telling them to shut up has got some kind of blackmail on them, or something. They've done something wrong, and they therefore have to keep their mouth shut.
What sort of dark web situations or illicit... crime
tax dodging
can a shoe shop man really get into?
Selling only left shoes.
Yeah.
When you say, this doesn't feel right, they gaslight you and say, no, you just have funny feet.
Maybe it was a case of, I hear that you've been discriminating against people with monstrously large feet, sir.
You can't, just because
That's a protected characteristic.
Just because they look disgusting and it makes you feel sick to even think about how wide their feet are, doesn't mean that you should charge them £45.
But yeah, the guy's like, he falls straight away, doesn't he? It works. And the guy's
tax
like,
on being
fine,
repulsive.
Man, fine. You win this time, copper. But he is like, you're well, what does he call him? He's like, you're disgusting. You're a disgrace to the force. But fine.
I'd love to be a policeman
and Kit's
and be
like,
on the force.
Yeah, I did it. And he
like
picks
that?
up Craig on the way.
I'm on the force.
Mid-interview, Gemma gets interrupted by somebody else who happens to walk into the room and said, the complaint's been dropped. You're free to go home, Mrs. Winter Brown. So there we go. That's nice. And then, Craig... Maybe this is the only reason why Craig was there, because he sees Gemma coming out and is like, Gemma, fancy seeing you here. And then tells Kit, you know what, the family's really struggling financially at the moment. They ain't got no 2 pennies to rub together.
But couldn't he have worked this out from the fact that Gemma said, we're really poor and I stole some shoes?
Maybe.
I mean, he's not a detective then, as if he needed to be told.
He needs to be told by 2 people.
I need 2
sources. Need to corroborate this evidence. Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Unreliable witness.
Kit goes back to Maxine's bench where Gemma is found herself sitting in the dumps. She's pleased that she's out and everything, but disappointed in herself for stealing the shoes. And she's just like, everything's going wrong.
My brother's dying. We're getting evicted. Daughter's got horrible feet.
And he sits down next to her and listens to her woes. And he's saying, look, this shoe man, don't worry about what he thought of you, because he had no right to look down on you. He kind of hints that the shoe man did have this dodgy secret, but then doesn't go into it. I don't know whether we're going to see Shoe Man again, probably not. But he's on the cusp again of revealing to her that the reason that I did this for you is because I'm your brother, but he doesn't go that far. He just says, look, people like you deserve a break. And she says, well, thanks very much. Come back to my house for a drink. So he does. And they go in, and there's some lovely little scenes where he's engaging with his little nephews and nieces.
But he doesn't, they don't know that that's what
No, of course. Yeah, he knows.
I kind of liked how awkward he was, is what I mean.
It was cute, it was sweet.
I know, but he's like making this most complicated joke to Aled, who couldn't hear him. So he was trying to do in sign language this really complex joke the kid didn't get at all. And then he showed him
his badge.
And what is the kid supposed to think of that?
He was like, I'm going to arrest you, and yeah. Minimal reaction from Aled there, I'm going to say. But anyway, it was very, very lovely.
It's so funny. Well, these squads are like don't know where I am.
What is going on?
Help me. I hope I'm earning enough money to go to university.
Yeah, this is their fun. Anyway, I wonder, do you think they talk with each other, like which one of us is going to be recast first?
Yeah, good question.
Maybe they're formed a little union.
Oh, you got to watch out, because are they all still doubles?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
At one point they were talking about when you're a baby, you've got to have more than 2, they said. I don't know,
it doesn't matter. Anyway, Gemma's very grateful for Kit, everything that he's done for her, and anyway, he then gets a phone call. Should have been a knock on the door, but
no.
Nobody knew he was there. Didn't know he was there, but they would have done. Turns out that his mum has died. Not Bernie, but his other mum, his adoptive mum, he's had a stroke, so that's kind of sad. And he, again, fantastic. I can't remember what the actor's called who plays Kit, actually, but jolly good performance.
I don't know what the actor's called who plays his mum. I'm like, that's a bit harsh. He's hiring her to kill her.
Anyway, so
got to be authentic.
He's got his bad news. He goes and sits. Oh, and then Bernie comes in and says, "Hey, we got the beers for a party."
Oh, that's bad timing.
Yeah, but I thought that was not really needed.
So this is another thing where Corrie's kind of, they're not helping the case, are they? Because one minute they're all, oh, we don't have any money, and Bernie gives Gemma some money to pay for her fine. Then she comes round with a load of beers. Now, yeah, you got to have your luxuries and stuff, but this is the sort of thing that people watching that don't understand. Like, if you've got money for beers, could you not have given your daughter some money for shoes? And
yeah, that's true. And then people talk about, people are always in the Rovers every night. Well, not anymore. People are always having their breakfast at the cafe. Everyone's going out to Bistro and Speed Dial for a treat. I thought these were supposed to be poor working class folk.
It's hard because when you don't have any money, you do want luxuries, and it's hard, and you do save up for things.
And sometimes you just think, I just need to treat myself. If you're saving up for something, it's so easy to blow it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you're like, I've been scrimping
savings
and saving for weeks and months. I need to buy something here.
But yeah, if I was Gemma, I'd be like, thanks, man, but I would have preferred you to give me the money for shoes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're forgetting poor bereaved Kit. So he gets into his car. Bernie's there, leaning in the window, saying, "Look, if you ever need to talk, I'm there." And he's like, I don't want to be part of your family. He's in total denial because he's mad
because his mum's died and he was supposed to have spent the day with her, and he's probably thinking, would I have noticed? Would I have helped her? Would she still be alive if it weren't for your stupid, rotten family of thieves and wide-footed children?
He relents, and by the end of the episode, he's saying, "You're right," because Bernie's saying that your brother's, she's totally guilt trips, and your brother's on death's door, and he says, "Okay, let's tell him tomorrow."
But I was really confused because his face was weird. He was sad and mad at Bernie. She cajoles him. She walks off. He kind of winds the window up. She walks off. Then he gets out the car and says, "I've changed my mind. I do want to get to know you." Then he turns around and his face falls immediately and he looks mad, like it was all a ruse. But how on earth is it going to be a ruse? And what for?
Well, if he's resenting the fact that they potentially robbed him of spending his mum's final day with her, or indeed being able to save her if he'd been there, then maybe he's got some evil plot.
I know, that's what I mean, and this is why I couldn't. You gave today's episode a banging, and I couldn't, because that final scene was stupid. Because he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll meet up with them tomorrow, and we'll tell them that I'm their brother." Do you not think you might have something else to do tomorrow, like with your mum being dead?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
is your dad gonna?
As somebody who has also got a dead mum, I tell you that the day afterwards,
yeah, you won't
you don't want to be going around seeing your other families and taking revenge.
Not going
on
and
them.
Visiting, or having elaborate revenge plots, or dropping bombshell news on your dying brother.
I suppose when there's you never know when the next day's going to happen during the Euros. You just got to get your revenge in while you can.
That's true, yeah.
Am I going to have revenge on Monday, or is there going to be a football match on? I got no idea. I'll plot something just in case.
Dad, I might be around tomorrow, but it depends on what happens with Hungary.
I didn't get the impression that he was plotting anything at the end, but I'm pretty terrible at picking up social cues, so he might have been twirling his moustache.
I was confused by that. Maybe I picked up on something that wasn't there.
But if he does, it's so cruel on Paul. I can't believe. Maybe he just wants to get back at Bernie, because he definitely has shown an awful lot of resentment towards Bernie, but I think he gets that Gemma and Paul have done nothing wrong. So I don't think he would be so cruel as to do anything to spite, especially Paul. And he knows that Gemma's struggling.
He doesn't really know them.
He doesn't really know Paul that well. He saved him that car parking spot the other day. But yeah, Bernie, maybe. But
it's easy to be people...
Go and spend time with your dad, Kit.
I know. It's easy to be horrible to people you don't know and people you know very well. Because you might hate them.
This is true. Anyway, I really, really enjoyed this story this week. I loved it. And for a Winter Brown story, that's great.
Are they finally redeeming the quads?
I've not, you know...
No, it was a mistake.
For the 5 years, was having the quads a mistake?
Yeah.
Yes, potentially still. But no, it's fine. Yeah.
All right,
good week this week with this story. I enjoyed it. Moving on.
Brief engagement.
Joel and Dee Dee, what they've been up to.
So, on Monday, Dee Dee has planned a clandestine meeting with Daddy and Mummy Deering, and she's not telling Joel that she's doing that. So she and Ed meet up with them at the bistro, and straight away they're saying, "Oh, we're so sorry about what happened last time, but we don't understand why Joel's been keeping you under wraps." And Dee Dee's trying to say, "You know, I'm just happy to clear the air. Let's get on. You know, let's be friendly. I want to be part of your life, etc." And then Amy comes over and puts her foot in it immediately because she says, "Oh, you're Joel's parents. You must be very excited about the engagement party that's going to happen tomorrow, or the engagement, or whatever it is." And they look at her like, you know, they're mad. And Dee Dee's like, "Literally, I was about to invite you to this party, so sucks for her." Meanwhile, Joel goes to see Joel. Sorry, Joel is. Does he seek Sabrina out in the precinct? He sits down.
Well, she just happens to be there.
She's there.
And
he remembers her, doesn't he? Because he saw Sabrina and her little friend.
Oh yes.
Her little blonde
Sabrina's
friend,
mate.
when Gav was arrested. Now, what has Gav been doing? Stalking again, no doubt.
That's been forgotten. It almost feels like, you know, we said last week, well, why has Sabrina been brought back in? Why hasn't Gav been mentioned? Why has he been mentioned as being arrested? But it feels like, I don't know, this isn't about Sabrina anymore. And the whole point of her in this story is a way to shoehorn Sabrina's mate, as we said she was credited with. And
on Monday.
We might as well just call her Betsy now.
It's Betsy.
It's Betsy Swain. We've been wondering about Betsy Swain for months, ever since Vicky Myers exclusively revealed on this podcast that was her name. So we've seen. I didn't get it, and I'm kicking myself that
it was obvious in retrospect, because why would you call her Betsy's Sabrina's mate? You would have just given her a name.
Yeah, it was. She was noticeable by not being named during the episode, especially as she seemed. Yeah, during the episode and the credits.
Yeah.
But especially as she seemed to have a relatively important part. I mean, last week she didn't. She was just kind of loitering in the background of that scene by the front of the police station. But Monday she was definitely upgraded to fairly significant part. She didn't get a name. She didn't get her name in the credits. We didn't see... And the fact that we were looking and we've been waiting for Betsy to show up, and it went right over our heads.
Yeah, but they did style her up like a bit of a scallywag, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's what we knew what she was like.
No, we didn't.
Well, we know that from the Britain's Got Talent. Yeah, Britain's Got Talent.
We know that
Swain was telling Carla, all my daughters are right.
I know, we know that Swain was complaining about her, but I expected some spoilt little middle class rich girl who was going to say that Monty the pony needs...
No, she's just how I imagine. She's been cast perfectly in my mind.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
She seems like another Lauren or what's her face?
Kelly Nealon.
Yeah.
She is 100% in that mould.
Like somebody very vulnerable. He doesn't have people, a support system looking out for her. So she's just like cosplaying, isn't she?
But she does have people looking out for her, because she's got a mum.
She's got two mums.
Yeah, exactly. Which is more than the
That's
other
my point.
people in this mould did.
That's my point.
The look of her is absolutely 100% what I pictured that Betsy might look like, but I still didn't pick it up. And I kind of wish that I hadn't gone online reading about Coronation Street on Monday, because although I didn't see a spoiler, that's right. Somebody commented on our YouTube video saying, "Oh, I wonder if Betsy's mate is Sabrina's mate is Betsy, and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of obvious. I bet it is. But then I also saw someone online saying it as well. I wish that we had been surprised. And you comment whatever you like on our videos. I don't want to put people off doing that. But it would have been great to have watched today's episodes
and gone,
and had that reveal and
obviously.
gone, oh my gosh,
I know, but I really don't think they can surprise us like that anymore.
Well, sometimes they.
Well, I think no, not because of their fault. Because of it's basically Coronation Street fans are 1,000 monkeys on typewriters for 1,000 years. We're all typing random stuff and theories about everything, and one of us is going to write something that's almost as good as an Ian McLeod storyline. Almost
as good. You don't have to look though, and I hope that the people that don't engage with online media have a nice little mini surprise in Friday's
it wasn't
episode.
Like it was a jaw-dropping revelation like the meaning of life.
It wasn't an Andy in the cellar moment.
It wasn't Glory's not your baby.
See, what I said to you when we were watching, what I was kind of hoping had happened is that she would be named as Betsy, because I don't think that Swain's daughter has been named as Betsy when she's been talked about so far, and we'd know that Betsy was Swain's daughter because Vicky Myers told us. But
yes, and she did check to make sure that was okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's Betsy.
It's Betsy.
Heavens to Betsy. It's her.
You've got to use that at some point, maybe when she dies.
When she dies, yeah. Betsy to heavens.
Right, so she is Sabrina's friend, but
yes,
and Joel had seen Sabrina and Betsy in the police precinct when
we don't call that here.
Gav was arrested. So he recognises her, and he knows that she is in need of legal services. So he's preying on her. I know what I can do here.
His MO clearly. I mean, if it wasn't obvious before when he took
yes,
Lauren, I forgot her name then. I told you she's not been mentioned enough recently.
Yes.
And then groomed her. This is clearly his thing. He finds young
I know.
vulnerable girls who need legal aid, and then says, "I'll do whatever for you in exchange for hanky panky."
But can I say, I think with how prolific he seems to be, and how bad he is at covering his tracks, and how quickly he jumps from one girl to another, I can't believe that he doesn't have a reputation and that people haven't noticed. Like I do not have any doubt that Swain and other people at the police station would not notice that Joel always seems to be representing teenage girls. Do you see what I mean? He must have more clients than we see.
Speciality.
But you know what? Can you see? Like he can't be this bad. He can't be this obvious.
I don't think it would be as obvious because he's a duty solicitor, so he represents whoever happens to show up. And we've seen that he's represented mostly teenage girls, but even then, he has been the lawyer for other characters.
But you see what I mean? As soon as he sees a girl, he's like, "Great, yoink!" Like he can't do that with all the girls because they would be obvious. That's my point.
It depends what he's doing with them, doesn't it? Like does he need more than one on the go?
Well, okay, so this right.
The Deerings mention later in this episode that he's been out of sorts for about a year now, and a year that would suggest that Lauren wasn't his first. But if Lauren was, say, his second, third, maybe. And we don't think there's been any since then. I suppose there is Ellie as well, isn't there?
That's my point. He seems to have a network of girls. I think it would be very obvious if he was doing it in his guise as solicitor. It would be obvious. Everyone would know that he was doing that, and he'd have a reputation.
Well, it's a good job that the Weatherfield police can't detect their way out of a paper bag, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe what happens is that he does this fishing expedition, which he did here with Sabrina, and it doesn't always work.
Sometimes you catch a tiddler. Don't you, Steve?
Right. Well, he does this thing where he sits down next to her, and immediately she appreciates the attention, which is a good sign for him that she's going to be receptive. Mm-hmm. And then he's drinking out of his flask. Well, he's getting this flask out, and he offers her some.
A hip flask type of flask, not a thermos.
No, sorry, yeah, like alcohol. So he's obviously testing her to see whether she is a bad girl. Bit wild. Is she okay with drinking with a man she doesn't know? Is she gonna take something from a flask? Like, does she trust him? Basically, that's what he's testing. Does she trust him?
Yeah.
Obviously she does, because she's seen him as a solicitor. So her guard is
Yeah, but she is kind of like, she seems like she's up for something more than just legal aid. And this, to me, didn't strike me, and I know we don't know very much about Sabrina, but it didn't strike me as particularly true to her character.
Well, he's flattering her, isn't he? Because he's an older man, and he is, and again, I don't want anyone to take this as victim blaming at all, because girls should be able to drink alcohol in a park with a strange man without it being their fault when they eventually get murdered. You know, I want to live in that utopia, but unfortunately we don't. But so he's kind of like testing the waters to see, and then when he takes the drink himself, he's kind of like, we're sharing this kind of like naughty moment.
Well, he purposefully doesn't give himself some as
he
well, does
pretends
he?
that
He
he's gonna
pretends, so
drink.
he's going to
Yeah.
keep sober.
So he's getting her more vulnerable. Because she's getting, you know, a bit tipsy. That whole thing is a test. That everything he did there was a test, and she's passed the test because she's complicit in what he's, you know, she's accepting his advances, right? Because she's just flattered because he's just he seems like a nice guy and he's being friendly to her.
Did you also think it didn't particularly
she's
gel
flirting.
well with her character?
Yeah, she did seem a bit. I thought she had a bit more street smarts than this.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I'm a bit more canny.
I get the impression that those two, Gav and Sabrina, live on the street. No, you know, they're always out.
Yeah, because
they just got a bit more about them.
You get those canny street smarts by being in situations that are dangerous, which I assume that they have. So that's how you build up your defences.
Yeah.
But she was acting like she'd never been around a predatory man in her life, which I can't believe for a minute.
And I just don't see her being into older guys. I mean, maybe I only know about her and Max.
I think especially because of how society teaches teenage girls that being sexualised, of being the object of attention, affection, sexual interest is kind of like a great compliment and the highest. You know, if you're a sexy young girl, that's like the ultimate peak of being, you know, a female. So once you kind of like get the vibe off of somebody, oh, you know, I think you're attractive, you kind of go along with it. I mean,
she doesn't know that he's going out with Dee Dee. Does she know who Dee Dee? She's so, you know, tangential to what's going on the street that she probably doesn't even know who Ken Barlow is.
But just to be clear again, this is Joel. This is Joel being a predator, not Sabrina being a victim. I just want to make that clear. I know, but people like to interpret things in like the most. I know I'm going to take what you said and I'm going to interpret it in a really uncharitable way to try to make you look bad.
Well, if they haven't got us for the foot stuff, then
well, yeah, just do the foot stuff. That's probably what Joel wants to do with Sabrina. So. She's liking the attention. Then we get to see Dee Dee and the Dearings again, and she's trying to invite them to the engagement party. And yet again, we still haven't anyone said that Dee Dee's going to be called Dee Dee Dearing.
No.
Are they just scared? Are they scared to say it because she's such a powerful career woman? They assume she's going to keep her name.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Dee Dee Bailey Dearing. Dee Dee Dearing Bailey.
There's no way around it. I think she's just going to have to stay Dee Dee
I'd lean
Bailey.
into it. I'd want to be Dee Dee Dearing.
How about if once she's married, she goes back to Diana? Diana Dearing sounds quite classy, doesn't it?
Diana Dee Dee Dearing.
No, just Diana Dearing. That sounds like a Harry Potter character or something, doesn't it?
What's her middle name?
I don't know.
Maybe her middle name's like Deirdre. Dee Dee Deirdre Dearing.
Anyway.
Sorry. Dee Dee tries to invite them to the engagement party, but they're still holding a grudge because they weren't invited.
They wish they're like, why isn't Joel telling us this?
Yeah, exactly. Why isn't he telling them? And they accuse her of being possessive and sort of stopping them from seeing him. And Ed's like, no, you're rude. Dee Dee's the loveliest, nicest person in the entire universe, actually. And she's the best Bailey, and she's only just been, she's just new.
She puts the rest of us to shame.
If Joel's leaving them out of the engagement plans, then he must have a reason, and you need to talk to him about it. Then we get to see Sabrina with her friend, Betsy.
Yeah, it's not a taboo anymore.
It wasn't a taboo to begin with. It's a secret.
Not a secret anymore.
Well, Betsy's saying, no, this is really gross. Why are you chatting up with this slimy 30-year-old? He's got an agenda.
So old.
You wait till you get over 30, man.
We're watching the classics this week, and it's the Martin and Katie storyline.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what Martin said. He's like, did he say I'm nearly 30, or I'm going to be 30, or I'm 30 or something? And it's like,
Oh, imagine that.
so old.
I know. So...
Or did he say I'm going to be 46? I don't know. That's a bad story, but...
What a great, bad story.
It took me by surprise how
but you were
young
always...
Martin was in that story about him being old.
That's a good summary.
Yes.
Right, so Betsy is saying, he's got a hidden agenda. I'm going to take this card off you and throw it away. And then she pretends that she's throwing it, but actually she pockets it herself.
Yeah, his lawyer card.
Dee Dee and Ed are back at the flat later, and the Dearings come up and they apologise. They say that Joel shut us out before when he was murdering.
Yeah.
This is what you assume. He's secretive because he's a murderer. And he's been...
And they've said he's been, quiet this past year, like I said earlier.
He's been quiet this past year. You're lucky to have such a close family, which I thought was ironic considering Aggie's run off.
Yeah, I know.
And they say, look, we will go to this engagement meal tomorrow if that's still okay. And they say, yes, but remember, it's a surprise.
And it wasn't spoiled.
It wasn't. Sabrina's mate skips up to Joel in the street. Sorry, Betsy.
So my notes all just say Sabrina's mate because I was blissfully unaware of who we were writing about.
And she tries to shake him down for cash. This is why I didn't think that she was Swain's kid, because blackmail is really like, I get that Swain would have a kid who was like super forthright, and she's obviously raised a very intelligent, confident child. But being cutthroat and blackmailing, I just thought she was like a streetwise urchin who.
No, I think that the Swain having a
tearaway
daughter who is the wrong side of the tracks, it's kind of writes itself. It's more interesting.
I was imagining a kind of Vicky,
What, Vicky? Steve's Vicky?
Yeah.
Vicky McDonald, Posho?
Yeah.
No, I think that this is just right.
Swain
just waiting, when is she going to get arrested? Is it going to be this year? Probably is.
Yeah. Is she... I mean, obviously, I think it's obvious that Joel's going to try to kill Betsy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Betsy has set herself up as future potential victim here, hasn't she? Although, maybe she's turning herself... I don't know. Like you said, he has tried... His ideal victims are ones that will fall for his fishing activities or exercises, whatever you called it earlier. And Betsy's clearly not interested in whatsoever.
No,
he wants to
get
rid of her.
Silence her.
Oh, right. Oh, dear. So he's not going to take her down the route of, or come and work for me and my secret.
I think he could manipulate her. I think he could be like, look, you know what I'm doing here. You find girls for me and I'll give you a cut.
I mean, it's tricky because she seems to be extorting quite a fair amount from him at the moment.
It looks like he only gave her like 40 quid.
How much?
20, he gave her... It was a slim bundle with a 20 on the outside.
Yeah. How much does she have on him, though?
Nothing. I'm surprised he gave her money at all.
Basically, her evidence is, I saw you being a bit leery with my mate in the precinct the other day.
If he wasn't worried about Lauren, he wouldn't even entertain this. But he knows that there's a link between him and Lauren.
And he needs to shut it down ASAP.
If it becomes obvious that he's been chatting up with teenage girls, he'll be suspect number one. Yeah.
I mean, that could be an interesting conversation for Betsy and Sabrina maybe to have. Like, why is he going along with this?
Being blackmailed so easily? She hasn't stopped to think that.
No. She thinks that she's following in her mum's footsteps and detective of the century, when actually she's got some fairly flimsy evidence and he's rolling over for her.
Yeah, she should be more suspicious.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't know whether we're supposed to think that, but it could be a route they go down.
Well, she's like, I know what you're up to. You're a pervert. Give me money. And he's like, no way, I'm not giving you any cash. But she won't drop it, will she?
No.
On Friday.
This starts off really nicely, didn't it?
Why?
This was the scene where... Don't you remember? This is the scene where Dee Dee...
Why?
Dee and Joel coming into the lounge together and like, oh, what are you doing today? You're looking smart. Oh, wow, I'm going to meet my fiancée at the bistro. What about you? Oh, I'm meeting my fiancée in the bistro as well. Maybe I'll see you there. I thought it was really nicely done, nicely written. Stephen Fay, I think, wrote the first half of today's episode. Really nicely performed by Callum and Dee. They're just,
She's gonna be
I
devastated.
really buy them as being kind of loved up and in the, the first flush of engagement.
If I didn't know he's a killer, I would be like...
No, it's really difficult to know. Like, we were obviously so against Joel for ages.
But do you not think Joel's more interesting now?
Yeah, he's totally more interesting.
But is he not interesting because he's a killer? He's not changed.
Or is he?
He's not changed, does he? He's still the same guy. He's still acting the same.
I think we're seeing a little bit more...
You think he's more sparky?
I think we're seeing a bit more charisma from him. I really, really do. And it's not just the charisma that naturally comes with being a villain on Coronation Street, because not all villains naturally have that. And I'm still convinced that he's not a killer. He's still got
I don't think.
hold up.
Maybe he's killed...
Little burp, I'm sorry. I'm not your editor.
Oh, God.
Birthday burp.
Maybe he's killed before Lauren, is what I'm thinking. Anyway.
Maybe, yeah.
Right, so they're talking about going to the bistro. When Joel gets there, he's surprised to see his parents are there as well. But then he says, I've got to go and do something with an important client. So he ducks out and he's looking at his phone, and his phone's got a message. And he's got, is it a burner phone or something? Because it didn't have, you know how it normally has like, you don't have a photo of this person, contacts.
I don't know.
It was an old phone.
It would make sense for it to be a burner phone.
Why doesn't he have a lovely leather case like Stefan Brent for his burner phone? Joel's got this message. I meant what I said. I want money or I'll report you. Don't ignore me. And he writes a reply going, I don't even know who this is. He obviously must know who this is. How did she get his number? Oh, she got it off the card, idiot.
Yeah.
Right.
I suppose maybe...
Why is this burner phone?
Maybe he doesn't want to engage with it, because even though it's a burner phone, you're always going to worry, what if this gets found? And
do you think he's got a special set?
No, that doesn't make sense. There's going to be some evidence on there, isn't there?
Do you think he's got a special set of Joel Deering solicitor cards with a special burner phone number on it?
He takes them out of one pocket, and this is my real number. Takes them out the other. Whoops, I've given you the wrong phone.
Sorry, that's
not for my illegal. That's for the
my legal activities card.
Yeah.
Right, so he's saying, I don't know who this is, leave me alone. And his dad comes out and he says that, I'm sorry, me and your mum were horrible to Dee before. You've got our blessing. Let's go inside.
I like that scene. I think that he was... I didn't really know what to think of Gus so far, because it's more been about Joel's mum, who I'm still not...
Gus is very
mega
bland.
Keen on. He is.
When he came out, I was like, who's this guy? Is he another solicitor that Joel knows from work or something? And then I was like, it's his dad.
He is somewhat bland.
Well, he hasn't had a chance to be not bland.
I did think that he gave that scene, he did a good job. And the speech later that he gave in the bistro about the couple was kind of lovely.
I presume that the parents of Joel were auditioned on the scene where they find out that Joel's a killer. And that's where we'll see their true acting ability. Joel, no, not our son.
Well, I mean, Joel's mum wasn't she? Is she Hollyoaks?
Yes, I was making a joke.
Yeah, no. But anyway, hopefully that's still a long way away.
Anyway, Betsy is looking at this, at him going inside this.
Oh yeah, she's loitering around the corner, isn't she?
So Gus says, "Isn't everything great?" And then in comes Betsy, and she goes up. She's like, "Oh, I need to speak to you." And he sees her, doesn't he? He's like, "Oh my God!" He gets up and he's like, "I can't talk to you about the case today. I'll speak to you about it tomorrow." And she's like,
wink,
"Okay,"
wink.
And leaves.
Yeah, she kind of plays along with it, doesn't she?
Yeah, she looks sad and goes. And Dee goes, "Oh, you probably should go and talk to her because she looks really upset." So they go outside behind the factory, and he says, "You're an irritant. You need to leave me alone." And she says,
that was a nice scene. That was a good. That was the one with the camera kind of panning round.
Yeah, it did,
the two of them. Completely unnecessary, but I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
And it also gave us a shot of Stephen Reed's bin in the background.
Yeah, watch out. Is that like
that's foreshadowing or something.
So she says, "You've got to take me seriously. Give me what I want." So he gives her some money and says, "That's all I've got for now." Why would he say that? She says, "I'll see you later." So the family meal's still going on. Ed makes a pointed comment about the fact that Joel's got out and left, and says, "Oh, I'm glad you're so dedicated to your work, but maybe my daughter is also important. Everyone's like, Joel's definitely the coolest man. He's not a killer.
Definitely not a murderer.
Not a pervert.
Nothing dodgy about this guy, Dee Dee. You landed on your feet.
Straight up, stand-up guy.
Mm-hmm.
Feet are very normal. That's what Dee Dee's looking for in a man. Want my children to have normal size feet, so we'll never starve to death while our children wear £45 shoes.
Yeah.
Joel's like, everyone's
They're just
happy.
having a lovely meeting.
But then we see Betsy in the precinct eating chips, and Swain comes up and she says, "You're my daughter Betsy, what are you doing here? You're naughty and incorrigible, and you shouldn't have chips because you're poor." And she says, "My friend gave me money for chips." And Swain says, "Get in the car." And Betsy says, "I shan't, mother." And then she says, "You better do, otherwise."
I thought that was. I liked the relationship between those two. I think that they played that scene really well. We already getting hints of the tension between the two.
It's so funny how your attitude changes as you grow older, and become more like parent age. Because when Betsy was like, "No, I'm not going with you," I was thinking, and Swain was kind of like staring at her like, oh, I was thinking, what would you do if your kid just said no? Like, you can't beat him up.
Mm. How did you find the way that they
take
revealed
her shoes off her?
Betsy?
Yeah, it was good.
When she was sitting there and Swain comes up, it was like, "Oh, it's true, it is, it's her." It was nicely that maybe could have been the last scene of the episode. I can't remember how it did.
What was the last scene?
I can't remember how they ended it in the end. One with this.
Well, it finished and it went.
Anyway, this isn't the main reveal of the week. I'm going to say the biggest shocker of the week is that Maeve is actually alive and real.
I know. I was devastated.
Yeah. The Deerings mentioned
Maeve.
And unless they're somehow in on it, and that would be the biggest twist, if they're also in on this.
Did they make it sound...
murdering scene.
They indicated that they believe that Maeve is real, but I don't remember if they'd said they'd seen her.
I don't know. I think we need to drop it now.
They definitely have met Emily.
Yeah.
So they know that story seems real, but how much of it is true? And is Emily really the same Emily? That's my question. Don't know. I don't think it was feasible.
I think we're probably reading too much into this.
That Joel could have a fake daughter that he tells his parents and Dee Dee about.
That does sound juicy.
But then again, the parents did say we haven't seen him for a year. Like, you know, he's been very distant from us for a year. Mm. But what's the purpose? This is the thing. It's great, brilliant, love the idea. That would be great. The only reason that we've got that he made up Maeve was that he needed a reason that he had a receipt for jewellery that was expensive in December that wasn't... It was obviously Lauren's necklace, but he said it was Maeve's christening bracelet or whatever it was. So that was the reason we thought she was made up. You can't just make up a child because you need an excuse to buy jewellery. You're
going to get found out, especially if the person you're lying to is soon to become your wife.
I mean, what did... Oh, she died. Yeah, she died. I heard that everyone on the show has a dead baby, so I thought I'd join in the club.
Happened on a weekend, that's why we didn't see it.
It was Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm still raw because it's Monday. But don't worry, I can do a meet with my long lost brothers and sisters because that's what you can do the day after a close family death.
Anyway, I thought this story was pretty fun. I'm glad that Joel is still skulking around. I'm ready. I really do think that they need to reveal pretty soon a little bit more about what he's up to, because it's been too long now that we've been on the edge of our seats waiting for this. But maybe next week. I don't really know. The wide-footed Karis wasn't the only bit of body shaming that we were doing in this week's Coronation. You know, I'm obviously an Adonis, and I'm just looking down on all these people.
Yeah, we're both good, epic. Exactly, like if you look in
peak perfection of humanity, us two.
Do you remember when they sent that plaque off to space with like an example of humanity on it? That was us.
Yeah, they based
that was
on
us. Yeah.
No, Joel's got. On his thumbs, he had really white finger bumps, didn't they?
Why are you calling them finger bumps?
I don't know what they're called. On his fingernails.
I looked this up. They're called lunulas.
His lunulas.
So
were noticeable by their presence.
Listeners, if it's safe for you to do so, please now look at your thumb, where you may have a half moon shape at the bottom of your nail that's paler than the rest of your nail bed. Michael doesn't have this.
I don't have one. Maybe it's me that's weird. Has
And
everyone else got these?
and
And
he was
I'm missing
fascinated.
something. I've got no lanulas.
And you were going, look at his funny nails. What's wrong with his nails? And I said, what do you mean? I've got one too. And you're like, what? And you were staring at my nails.
Actually, I never really get to look at other people's... Can you get them on your other fingers as well? Or was it just the thumb thing? I don't look at people's fingernails too often. And now I feel like I'm incomplete.
I think, is it one of these things where, I think it's fairly common.
Maybe we need to run a poll. Have you got...
It's really interesting.
Do you have lanulas?
It's really,
yes, no, or what on earth's a lanula?
What's a lanula? It's really, it's like lobes, isn't
Oh, yeah,
it? Like,
it is.
you
It's
don't
like...
think about your earlobes, but are they attached or unattached?
It's innie or outie as well.
Yeah, can you roll your tongue or not?
Yeah.
Do you have a funny bump on the roof of your mouth like I do that other people don't? I think that's more rare.
We're all different and it's all normal and it's all fine.
Here's another
unless
question.
you've got really wide
feet. Do you have wide feet?
Are we going to get taken now? Maybe we have gone too far. Anyway, I don't know why I wanted to point that. I kind of liked Ronnie and Debbie's involvement in this family meal today.
Ronnie and Debbie?
Yeah, they were there, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
As part of the Bailey constituent.
When Debbie was giving Ronnie a big old kiss, I was like, thank you for reminding me.
Well,
I had forgotten.
They were talking about getting married, weren't they? And Debbie's like, oh no, I'd never marry him. But I'm wondering whether that was a hint that maybe later on in the year we're going to be hearing wedding bells for Debbie and Ronnie.
Oh, imagine her wedding dress. She'd look
Debbie's
so
wedding
cool.
dress is going to be spectacular.
Oh,
What's the wedding day earrings going to be? I'm going to say wedding cakes. Little mini wedding cakes dangling from her lobes.
Oh, I'd love it.
Mm-hmm. She needs to be one of these brides that just changes out her earrings.
Yeah. Right.
For every scene.
One of these brides
wedding.
that changes out her earrings.
You know, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's
I
the
don't know.
latest thing.
Right. Old MacDonald had a storyline, and that's what we're talking about next. Steve is turning 50 next week. I can't remember when Steve's birthday is. I'm pretty sure that it's not the day before mine, but he's turning 50, and Tracy's coming back for it, apparently. Because there's this bust unveiling. She's not coming
back for it. She's coming back
at the same time as it. Sorry, because we've already heard a few weeks ago that they're unveiling a bust of Tommy Orpington at the Weddy County grounds next week on the day of his birthday, and they're both going to be there to stand in the crowd and get clapped at or something. So
that reminds me of when we went to your mum's library after she died and they unveiled a plaque. Yeah. And we all had to stand there and it was really awkward because I didn't really know what to do.
I didn't find it awkward. It's lovely. Anyway, what was going on here? I can't remember. Oh yeah, Amy and Ardy appear to be on the planning committee for Steve's birthday party, and he says he didn't want Cassie coming along because they're still not ready to go there yet, and he just finds himself getting mad that this thing is happening on the same day as his birthday, and he's clearly still carrying this massive Olympic torch-sized candle for Tracy, but he doesn't want to admit it. Tim just gets fed up of him going on about it, really, and says, so it's your 50th next week, isn't it, Steve? And Steve's like, yeah, just want a quiet night in, really. Maybe a quiet night at the Rovers. And Tim says, I prefer debauchery, actually. Well, it turns out later that Sally has been invited to the unveiling of this plaque because she used to be the mayor of Weatherfield. So it looks like they've had one. Audrey's probably got coming along as well, if we're lucky.
Well, Kirk and Beth are going.
Yeah, why are they going?
Because he's Buzz of the Bee, isn't he? Or he used to be.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Didn't think of that. Anyway, Tim says to Sally, I can't go, it's Steve's birthday, I need to do that. Uh-oh. Tim is now caught in quite a quandary. Tim's
mental faculties are so limited he can only have one event in a day, otherwise he gets confused about where he is.
Yeah, this is clearly a day-long bust unveiling. It's going to be
How long can it possibly be?
Pulling the sheet just ever so slowly, a millimetre a day. It's like downloading a photo of Tommy Orpington back in the 90s on dial-up. Yeah. Who is it? Oh,
well, it can't be that long if there's only one glass of Prosecco each.
Oh, yeah. So Tim has to make a decision about what is he going to go to. And he goes up to Steve in the pub later and says, look, I know I said I'd do beer and darts with you next week in the Rovers, but I can't, so I got a doctor's appointment and then a dentist appointment. And Steve then takes that to mean, you're planning me a surprise party. How many times? It seems like whenever it's somebody's birthday, especially a big, decade birthday, there's either a surprise party or somebody thinks there's going to be a surprise party and there's not. I don't know how many other is Corrie just unoriginal, or is that still a fun storyline to do? I kind of, despite it being as old as The Hills, or as old as Steve is, I kind of enjoying where this is going. Are you? Seeing Steve thinking he's getting something, but not, and
I guess basically, because it was quite funny, everyone faking out, and
well, Steve spends Fridays. He thinks they are. Steve spends Friday's episode kind of schmoozing around, going, things ready for next week, eh? And they're like, I don't know what you mean. I've got no idea. Oh, nice.
It's like, good one.
It is kind of funny.
But if your friend came up to you and you knew it was his birthday, and he was going, "Oh, you coming to my surprise party?" and you went, "I don't know what you're talking about," would you really say that? Would you go, "Oh God, I haven't"? It would send me into an anxiety spiral because I'd be like, "I haven't been invited. Who's organising this? Where is it? I can't ask him because it's obviously a surprise."
Yeah, that's true.
This would make me like, I'd have to like get a therapist or something.
So today's episode, there was a bit of that. We also still have more of Steve mooning over Tracy, and Mary is. She's mooning over... She's not mooning. She's saying, "I'm missing Tracy too." And then they have a bit of a moment and Steve nearly gets squashed by her while he's reaching for the phone or something. I don't know. Mary was worse in the George storyline. But anyway, Steve is at home later trying on a particularly garish Hawaiian shirt. And is it a Hawaiian shirt? It looked it.
I don't know what Hawaiian shirt is unless it's...
It was just white, I suppose.
A printed shirt.
It was a printed shirt.
I don't know if they're all Hawaiian shirts or if they have to be tropical. And Amy comes downstairs and says, "Oh, Mum's just said that she's not actually coming anymore because it's getting hotter in Spain and she's decided to stay there." It's so... I was kind of ready for Tracy to come back into the show again. Yeah, I know.
It's been weird. Nothing's obviously been said about, Kate Ford is taking an extended leave of absence. This is longer than the usual, "I'm just not filming for this block." It kind of does feel like she's having a bit of a break, but often when characters have a bit of a break like this... They just don't get
mentioned.
No, I was going to say, often when they have a bit of a break like this, it's because they've had this massive story and they've kind of earned it. But the Steve, Tracy and Tommy story was only, a couple of months long.
Maybe she's taking a sabbatical.
But she had plenty of time for a sabbatical before because... I know.
But this is the trouble. This is unfortunately the trouble, and why being a celebrity is a difficult thing. Because you accidentally invite speculation about your private life, your personal life, because people are interested.
I'm not necessarily saying that.
I know, but unfortunately it comes with the territory a bit, and we try to control what we talk about on here because we try to be respectful. But it's going to... People are going to wonder why is...
Yeah, everyone is just mystified about, they're saying, has Kate Ford left? And then there's rumours spreading saying, "Oh yeah, well, I heard that she wanted to take a break." But I was kind of ready to see her again.
Because usually saying "I'm taking a break" is a kind of euphemism for something's happened. And I don't really want to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm not saying any of that. I think she's just gone, "I want a few months off, please." And they said, "Yeah, fine." Because other people have done it, Other people have done it, so why can't I? I don't think there's anything to it at all. All I'm saying is, in general,
I just think
unfortunately...
it seems more as particularly unusual because Kate Ford had been in the show so little in the last few years.
And the other
and she can have a break whenever she wants.
They always say, so-and-so's doing this or that. It's like, you don't need to tell me because you can just not be on the show. You can still be in it, but I don't see you. This happens to so many characters. There are so many people that just aren't in a story, so I never see them. They get months and months off for no reason at all. You don't need to say she's gone to Spain.
Anyway, so I was kind of excited to see her again.
I want to know what's the thought process between saying sometimes this is happening and other times not mentioning it? Is it when the actor actually books it off and they decide that they're going to make it into a story, or is it when they decide that the character's not going to be in it, so they're not going to...
I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I think it's different every time, but unfortunately, like I said, there's a certain level of interest in your... and it's usually good-natured, to a certain extent.
Not always.
Not always.
Did Amy say that Tommy's also going to stay away in Spain?
No, I
can't
don't
remember.
think. I think he's coming back.
He's coming back for the bust unveiling.
Well, it would be rude not to, wouldn't it? Because I mean, who really cares?
It is of him after all. I'm really excited to see what happens there. It's gonna have Sally.
Steve's gonna go, isn't he? Steve's gonna go because he's gonna realise nobody's coming to his party, so he's gonna storm off once he realises everyone's at this bust. He's gonna find out. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, everyone's gone to the bust unveiling. I'm surprised you didn't go."
Well, the fact that Sally is going to be there already means that it's quite likely to be a funny scene, a genuinely funny scene. Although, Kirk's there to maybe cancel it out, and Steve isn't always firing on all cylinders. But yeah, I don't know I've got no idea what's going to happen. But I'm hoping it's going to be a scene to remember. This is basically it, isn't it? It's you got Sally getting herself a new bustier maybe for the unveiling, a new dress, and she's still. Tim hasn't told Steve that he's going to the bust unveiling. How many times have I seen bust unveiling? Bust unveiling is the new heat pump. That's it. We've waffled on an awful lot about the fact that there's a bust unveiling at the same time as this party that isn't happening. And that's it. I can't believe that Steve's 50 already. I remember us talking about his 40th birthday on the podcast 10 years ago, and he was getting a bit maudlin about being really old then. And now we are older than he was when he was saying, my life is over, I'm middle-aged, it's all downhill from here. I don't feel sad about the age that I am. So maybe it's just around the corner. It was funny, I had to look at the synopses on Coropedia the other day, and apparently one of the things he did on or around his 40th birthday episode is come out of this depression the other side and vow to retire by the time he's 50, earn a load of money, and that would be the end of him.
You do it the other way around.
Steve, you've not made that.
No, rubbish.
You have failed on your promise to yourself. You massive loser.
Should we do that?
What? Retire before Should we make that vow now?
No.
Let's not. We vow to get 1 million subscribers on our podcast and YouTube and retire as podcasters.
You won't, but I will be lucky to retire at all. Because you've got your pension, your teacher's pension. Your fat cat teacher's pension.
And then you'll be going to work and I'll be at home cleaning and cooking.
No, we need to organise something, Michael, because that ain't going to work, is it?
Speaking of money when you're old, segue. It's the George and Glenda story.
They're not old.
No, this is the Will story. It's Shuttleworth, Archie.
Yeah, I know, they're not old.
No, I'm not saying
George
they
and
are.
Glenda.
I'm saying that this is a story about another old guy, Archie, and forget it. It was a terrible
dead now,
segue.
so he's not old, is he?
They're still at each other's throats this week, aren't they? The siblings.
They still haven't worked out what to do.
No.
So Monday, George finds Glenda and Michael having breakfast in the cafe, and he says, "Look, an olive branch. Let's be civil to each other until court." And he tells Michael he's sorry that he's stroppy with him. Don't want to, Glenda jumps in and says, "Don't you forgive him?
Because he had a go at Michael the other week, didn't he? The last time this story graced our screens.
Michael is kind of caught in the middle here because I tell you what, say what you like about the Baileys, but they raise good children.
Michael is a total pacifist.
Michael and Dee Dee are both really lovely, genuinely nice people that I don't think I know anyone as nice as them in real life.
He didn't have a vindictive bone in his body. No. But then, I would probably have said that about Glenda before this story.
True.
She's just had a massive, massive personality change to fit this story, which is why it's not really working for me.
Well, anyway, in the pub later, Glenda tells Michael, I don't trust George. I think he's up to something. I want you to spy on him and tell me what's going on. So Michael goes to have a meal with George in the bistro, and it's all going very well until George asks if Michael could try to convince Glenda to drop the case. So now he definitely is stuck in the middle. So Michael goes back to Glenda and says, George is fed up with fighting. He just wants everything to be over. Why don't you drop it? And Glenda says, oh, George has got to. I can't believe it. And Michael's saying, no, I just wish that you would stop the war.
Everybody wants... Nobody's enjoying seeing you at loggerheads.
We're all over it.
Neighbours, viewers, just give it a rest now.
So on Friday, Glenda says, Michael come to the pub at lunch and he says, no, I've got to go to this engagement party thing. And Glenda's disappointed and she gets a bit insecure because she's not invited. And he says, no, it's fine. It is just a family thing. And then they talk about George and she's still not sure what to do. But she goes to the undertakers to talk things out with George. And she says, look, I've always had the raw end of the stick. It's not fair. Why don't we do 50-50? You keep the business and I have the house. And he's like, no way. That's
Every
not 50-50.
time he sits down and agrees to be civil, he immediately
goes, you're an idiot.
Any of her suggestions, nope. I mean, to be fair, that would... We have said before, why doesn't she have the house? But George is not wrong. That wouldn't be a completely fair split, would
I
it?
don't know. He says the house is worth a lot more than the business. I don't understand how you value a business. I don't know.
Well, it's however much you can sell it for, I suppose.
Yeah, I know, but... Yeah, I know.
What?
I know that's the value of a business, but how much is a business?
I don't know. Less than a big house.
Less than a big house. And she says, well, this... I think that's fair. And it's not going anywhere. The phone rings, he goes, and she grabs his keys and runs off. And he had a ghost Lego on his keyring. I think we've seen that before.
Nice touch.
I think it's bad taste.
Yeah, imagine if he's just got them out on the table when a poor grieving widow woman comes and sits down.
You might as well have a skull and crossbones or something. Anyway, later, Mary comes in. Michael loved this scene.
Flippin' Mary. I didn't say a rude, I said flippin' Mary. I don't think I said anything rude there. Because
it really sounded like you did.
I didn't.
Okay, well, she comes in very dramatically and wails, oh, come immediately, you've got to drop everything, you need to see this.
Have they had a storyline where they've employed Mary to be a professional grieving relative because she'd be so good at it?
That would be a really funny, like, little mini story where somebody comes in and they said, my I don't know,
granddad
was an Egyptologist and he's always wanted mourners at his funeral, and I want to hire a mourner. And then Mary could wail and throw dirt on her face like they used to.
That sounds very much like what they might do.
Yeah, because everyone
don't give
knows,
them any ideas.
There's no end of comedy in
Not
Undertaking.
when it comes to Mary and Undertaking, yeah.
So she drags him back to the house, to Eileen's house, which is what Glenda pointed out. Like, you don't live in the house. Why do you need this big house for? And it is a good question. What does he need this big house for? What's he using it for?
Clearly not renting it out to anybody.
No, I know. Well, all of his stuff's there.
Standing there looking grand.
Yes, in Eileen's house.
He's probably got all sorts of wildlife living in his overgrown garden. He
wouldn't have a clue, would he?
Yeah.
Glenda's dumped all of his stuff in Eileen's house in the living room, including a beautiful picture of Archie.
I thought that was quite nice at first, but then when they showed a close-up of it, it really did look like they took a picture of Roy Hudd and applied a Photoshop oil painting filter over the top of it.
And then printed it out. It
certainly
wasn't a bespoke William Roach.
Well, it was no Alfie portrait.
No, it wasn't.
Alfie is the most notable Corrie in universe portrait ever. Apart second only to Exploding Car with Alina and Tyrone.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was kind of nice, but...
Well, she's devastated because it turns out that George really was thought of this house as a time capsule, sort of tribute to his late father, because it was his house. But
it's bizarre.
But also, do you not find it a bit weird that neither Glenda nor George, I mean, one person I can understand, but both of them didn't have a house until their dad died?
Mm. I think that keeping this house, like a living mausoleum to Archie,
to tribute is weird.
It is peculiar.
It's obviously what's going to happen is he's going to be like, oh, I need to let go. My memories of my father are precious to me, but I don't need the house to keep his memory alive. And Glenda will go, no, we're his tribute. We're the living tribute, and we're letting him down by fighting. Let's sell the house and share the money. No.
That'll be over. I just wanted to put out as well. I'll say the other thing that they had from the house was the Cremmy Award, and I liked that. Just the name Cremmy.
That big trophy looked familiar to me. Do you think it's another prop that's been resprayed? Or have we seen it before?
I don't recognise it, but it could well be.
I thought it was silver before. Does anyone else recognise it?
Mike Baldwin got a little shout out in that scene as well, didn't they? They talked about his funeral.
Right, so he storms back to the Rovers to confront Glenda about what he's done. What have you done to all this stuff? And she goes, well, it's my house now. Here's your keys back. Don't need them anymore because I changed all the locks. I thought that was great. All the rest of your stuff's in storage. You're paying for it. And Michael hears this commotion and comes in. And he's had enough at this point, hasn't he? He says to Glenda, this is a low blow. George has stormed off. And Michael says, I can't carry on with this relationship. What you've done today, everything my family has gone through this year makes me realise that a family is important and I need somebody who's not a psychopath with their family. And so you're dumped.
I quite like that as a reason why Michael was finding it uncomfortable. I get it makes total sense that he just wants a peaceful life. And
well,
like I said earlier, he is a
anyway.
nice guy, a bit of a pacifist. He doesn't want to be involved in family dramas.
Well, that's the thing. The Baileys all stuck together when times got tough, and that was how they got through it.
Yeah, apart from Maggie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense. Do you think this is the end for Glenda and Michael already? Because it feels like a bit of a non-starter.
I think that Glenda will realise that she's been slightly unreasonable, and she will talk to George again, and they'll resolve their differences, and then Michael will say, "Oh, what a woman!" And
I wonder whether this. I mean, it could also lead to the resurgence of this PTSD, depression, whatever you call it, from Glenda, from when the Rovers was broken into, because that really felt like she was going to go down the old
up for something.
Flashback route, and nothing happened.
Do you know what? Sometimes I wonder whether there's like, you know how there's an entire room of Coronation Street fans attached to keyboards like monkeys that are typing up ideas. Maybe there's also like a dungeon of Coronation Street fans watching the episodes with like green and red buttons, and they just all pressed red, and they just ditched the story because everyone hated it immediately.
If that existed, then a lot more stories would have ended sooner than they did.
True.
Okay, finally.
I'm just suggesting it as an idea, but I'm not volunteering.
You don't want to be a dungeon button pusher.
I already do it enough here.
Right, we had the Abby story, which felt to me a little bit like it was just spinning its wheels this week, because
it felt like they were like, right, this is all finished now because Abby's going on holiday.
Yeah, maybe a little bit like that. Basically, Abby, we find out, Tyrone finds out that Abby is blissfully unaware of this deal that Kev and Stefan struck up last week, and Kev and Stefan goes, I text Kev and said, look, come here, I want to meet up with you, because he agreed last week that he would pay for the videos of these deepfake Abby videos to be taken offline. Now, we as viewers know that costs £5,000 a month, and sometime between Monday's episode and last week's episode, Stefan has also made this discovery. 60 grand a year, no way am I paying that, the deal's off. And anyway, it's not like it'll ruin Abby's reputation, it's not like she had one to start with. Kevin punches him backwards onto the desk, and Kev and Stefan ordered him out. Fairly good punch, but like I said, I felt that even this little scene here, and the fact that there's a punch involved, they already were at loggerheads, weren't they? They already had something over the other one. Stefan's got the CCTV footage, Kevin's got his mobile phone. What more?
What's changed?
What's changed now that Kevin has got, well, you punched me?
No, well...
It's a way that... Go on.
No, I'm just going to... Again, it just feels silly to me that this reputation management thing is even that much of a consideration, because we know all it does is take you off Google.
Yeah.
Right? We know those two boys turned up to sort of prove that people are paying attention to this, but I genuinely don't... I've never been in that position, so thank God. But how many people that know Abby, like she all she knows is the people that live on the street now. All of her friends before, do they even know she got married? What name is it? What name is this under? When you Google, who are you Googling to get these porn videos?
But no, it doesn't matter. It's whatever, because the videos have not been described to us in graphic detail, or whatever kind of scenario is there. That's what people are Googling. Nobody's Googling Asher Allahan either, but these videos are still clearly
No, you don't
turning
understand
up.
what's happening. That's not the case at all. But you can't... They're not taking the video off the internet. They're taking off the link between your name and the video. They can't take the video off the internet.
But what...
Do you think that there's somebody out there who, for £5,000, can take off Dirty Mechanic's wife a Google search?
But isn't that what Dev's doing with Asher?
He's taking her name off. He's scrubbing every time that video gets linked to her name. You can't take the video off the internet. That's been explained many times.
Okay.
So who's Googling and what are you Googling? If they put both of her names on there... See, that's my point.
Yeah.
I was just making a silly joke.
No, that's okay, fine.
I just don't think that many people are Googling a 40-year-old woman.
She's not 40.
Nobody. I haven't even Googled my own name. I don't think anyone Googles. You know what I'm saying? Who Googles anybody?
Googling their own name.
I don't Google my own name.
Don't you?
Do you Google your own name?
I haven't done it for a while.
Yeah, but
I know
who else do you know?
I know someone in my name that's an architect.
Sometimes you might Google, like, if say you listen to a podcast, you're like, I wonder what they look like, so you Google them. But you don't, like, do you Google people you know in real life? I've never Googled any of my friends.
Well, I suppose what you're allowed to do now when you're employing somebody is Google them and check out their socials.
But when is she going to get... job
which I suppose was
working for her own husband.
That's more going to buy Asher in the bum, isn't it?
That's what I mean. I can understand you doing it for a young girl because also her generation are more connected to. But Abby, I don't even think Abby's gone on the internet.
Well, we did see those two boys come up to the garage.
That's what I said a minute ago.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah.
You weren't listening. They only put that in so that they would have a plausible reason why she would think about taking it off the internet, but in reality, honestly, unless she got sent it, I don't think she'd even know it was there.
Anyway, basically, Abby through this punch, Abby finds out that Kevin did it because she finds him nursing his hands with some frozen peas. So she's fuming, saying, "Look, you don't have to fix everything. I can't believe what you're getting involved in this."
I will save myself, actually, because I'm the heroine.
Yeah, she heads over to Brent Industries, has it out with Stefan himself, and says, if you grass Kevin up, that phone's going to be going straight to the police. Yes, we know this stalemate situation. We get it, Abby. And she says, come near me again and I'll bring you down, before flouting off and saying you're a pathetic, lonely man. Abby goes back home with Kevin later and they say, look, we're just going to have to trust that Stefan won't do anything. And really all we had on Friday's episode was Abby deciding... Well, there was the little mini cliffhanger by one of the advert breaks, wasn't there, where Abby's packed her bags and it looks like this has got too much for her and she's going to leave Kevin, but it turns out, no, she's just going to go and see Charlie and Lexa, who it turns out did indeed have chicken pox, and Charlie didn't see the video. So this, what was the woman called? I can't remember. The mum that's adopted them was telling the truth, so she's going to go and see them, and it's all going to be lovely, and this story is now on ice, just like Kevin's hand.
I wish that Stefan had been punished for this, because this is really disgusting and a horrible thing to do.
I don't think it's the end of the story for now. If this is the last time that we see Stefan, this story is very narratively unsatisfying. He needs to get his just desserts for this.
And just to be clear, when I was saying about the £5,000 for the Google thing, more to the point is that you can't take it off the internet. That is the problem. I know, but I'm just making sure that people, like, it's not like I'm saying, it's no big deal to have videos like that of you. Of course, it's horrible, and it should be. Well, I think it is illegal, isn't it? Or it should be. But once it's out there,
it's like the revenge porn stuff, isn't it? Whether it's or real, whatever. I just before we finish, I enjoyed the little skit between, I think it was Kevin and Tyrone in this Tinter Nights episode, where he's talking about being a professional tea drinker and how he'd quite like to just sit around drinking tea all day. And Kevin's like, you do that.
You do that. I distinctly remember when I was graduating looking for job ideas, and one of the jobs that came up was a Tetley tea taster. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. But then I actually looked into it. It's not good at all. It's not at all.
But it's like one of these jobs that sounds nice for a while, like a video game tester. No, is actually horrible. Probably some people enjoy, but it sounds like it's just really
tedious.
Yeah, playing the same bit of the game again and again and again, trying to make bugs appear, and you get totally sick of it.
But when you're a tea tester, your job, like he said, you travel the world and taste tea. That is not at all what your job is. Your job is to make sure that every batch tastes the same. And when you taste it, you've got to be able to work out, oh, okay, we need to put this many grams of that blend and this many grams of that variety in to make this consistent across all of the tea. So every time you have a certain tea bag, it always tastes the same. But in order to do that, you have to not only have a really great sense of taste, but you also can't, impair your taste buds by eating certain things. You've got to be really strict about what it is that you can't wear perfumes and stuff. You've got to be quite disciplined with.
Well, there we go. Tea tasting is not all it's cracked up to be, Tyra.
It's not tea drinking. It's different kettle of fish.
Right. So, I did enjoy this week's Coronation Street. There weren't any stories that were duds for me. I suppose the closest we got to it was the Abbey one, but it was only just wrapping things up anyway. I thought that I was really, really impressed by Gemma's story. I thought that Dolly was amazing, and I really intrigued by Kit as a character. And
I am quite
Joel,
intrigued by him.
Betsy,
I'm still not sure about him.
And the Steve story. Although it was kind of still bubbling and there weren't any huge moments in it, I think it's hopefully bubbling up to something that's, again, hopefully not going to disappoint me next week. I am giving this week's Coronation Street, I'm going to give it 4 feet that are so wide that you could go out barefoot and use them as snowshoes.
I can't believe it.
What about you?
I enjoyed this week. Would you give it 4? Yeah, I was going to give it 4. I'm going to give it 4 packets of chips that Betsy bought with blackmail money out of 5. What's your character of the week?
Gemma. There's quite a few good choices, but it's Gemma this week. I thought she was great. Yeah, she stole and she shouldn't have done, but like I said earlier, I totally bought that was within her character, and I really did sympathise a lot with her, even though in real life she should go to the benefits office, blah blah blah. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed her this week. So 4 and Gemma.
I'm gonna give it to Dee Dee.
Why?
Because I thought she was great. I like her. I think she's pretty.
Bit of a shallow reason, but I'll let you off. Right, well there we go. That's this week's Street Talk. More where this came from next week.